Live now, Ben. Yep. Good evening, everyone, and hope you're all having an awesome week so far, awesome Wednesday. And it's a pleasure to have Ben Killoy on the show tonight. And before we get started, I actually want to, I'm going to read off Ben. I want you to get a little idea about Ben, who he is, and what kind of person he is. So Ben is a U.S. Marine veteran turned blogger, life coach, speaker, and podcaster whose mission is to bring military veteran dads home to their families. He has 3 beautiful kids and a wife, and they reside in Janesville, Wisconsin. And Ben's story is pretty interesting because he went through what most people do when they transition out of the military, and that's is trying to identify what he wants to do with his life outside the structure of the military, and basically rediscover his passion and purpose for life. So for Ben, a seminar changed this all for him and allowed him to discover his passion for leadership and helping other veterans and dads to be the best parents that they can be. Since that seminar, he has been on a mission to master leadership principles and use his passion for leadership to help dads understand who they are, develop their skills and overcome adversity, and to own their life choices to enable them to truly come home to their families. Ben's podcast combines his own insights into his unique experiences with the military and fatherhood, along with interviews and discussions with other thought leaders from around the world. The fact that Ben's insights are based on his personal experiences and experiences of other vets he interviews gives credibility to his understandings. Sharing both his successes and failures brings a more heart-centered approach to his podcast, which enables a deeper connection. And I could vouch for that because it's been about a year, Ben. I think I was on there.
It's almost been about a year.
Right? So it's an awesome podcast. So Ben is available for speaking engagements, both online and in person. Is more than happy to share his insights on other veterans podcasts also. So, man, that's awesome stuff, brother. I wanted to let everybody know about that. So thank you, man, for being on tonight.
Thank you, Paul. Your friendship has moved mountains for me, even more so in these last few months, even since when our friendship first started last year.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. And likewise, I can say the same about you, man. I know we keep each other in check a lot and bounce a lot of ideas off each other, so I appreciate that. So anyone here that's on right now, just give us a hashtag live if you're watching it live, or a hashtag replay if you're catching it on the replay, and just comment if you're on right now. Let us know where you're tuning in from before we get started. So what we're going to talk about tonight is, of course, Ben's an awesome dude. I mean, just by reading his bio there, he's done a lot and accomplished a lot in life. But we're going to talk a little bit about one area where Ben is really, really kicking ass, to put it very bluntly, and that's his health and fitness. So just generally, Ben, before we get started, just kind of like give us an overview of where you were at, I guess, before you and I kind of met on this journey of health and fitness.
I would say my journey really got cemented way back in 3rd grade. 3rd grade is really when I put on weight, and it never went away. And then for my entire life, there was a self-image that looked back in the mirror that was never someone that I was proud of. And it was always this mental game that I had to kind of just get through every day, knowing that that person in the mirror wasn't there. And part of that was there's so many other things that we can work on in 2020 and any other year your life is going on that, like, you can easily just, like, you know what, I'll get to that later. And so I started working on all the things that you mentioned in that bio, but I kind of avoid this other one because I did what I could with what I had when I did it. And I was going on it's kind of odd how I got to this, but I was going on a journey of really understanding masculinity. It was really something that really always messed with my head. I heard lots of podcasts, but I never felt one that really I could identify with. And when I really understood masculinity in my version, it was really like being an oak tree, being someone of strength, being someone that can calm someone else's storm that's going on around you. But if you feel triggered inside, you can't calm someone down. So if you can't just stand there and receive whatever someone's giving you, then you can't. And so when I did that little learning there, I realized, like, I can't do that because I don't unconditionally love myself. So my journey started with this idea, like, if I need to be able to unconditionally love others and be masculine in that moment to just give freely without expectations, I need to love myself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when I looked in the mirror, I couldn't do it. Because that person, I never loved the person who looked in the mirror. I loved who I was in the inside. My heart was growing and my connections, my friendships were growing over this time. But that person in the mirror was never looking back, that person that I could love. And so when I really went through this process of and this was like January of 2020 is when I was like, you know what, I really need to go on a mission to love that person in the mirror. And as I went through that journey, I picked a word for 2020, which was believe, and believe that I've always had everything inside. I just needed to believe it was there and kind of step into it. Because when especially you coach clients on weight all the time, there's so much you don't think you know enough to get going. And that was kind of me, because it's a nice warm excuse and you can marinate that just like a good steak too. And that excuse will serve you purposefully as long as you need it, but it won't actually get you the results that you ever want. And so on January 27th, I lost my job. And so that was my first life-changing event this year. And then I stepped into being a stay-at-home dad. And I was like, I'm going to really take the steps to own this. And I was just kind of going in deeper. That's when we connected. I was like, I'm going to do this. But then COVID hit. And so then I was like, okay, now the whole world has changed. And the opportunity, before, my life was like crazy during the day trying to juggle all the things being a stay-at-home dad. And then COVID hit and we're all home. And I was like, you know what? I got a unique opportunity here, because every excuse was always based on me running around, never having enough time. Like, we've got all 24 hours in the exact same house. And so I also got cemented with a journey called 75 Hard. Yep. And that really put me in a mode of taking a health challenge and just going all in. Like, no excuses, just doing it and just going all in. And so people that don't know what 75 Hard is, it's essentially 5 things for 75 days. Stick to a diet. So in this case, I picked Paul's to stick to. You have to do 2 exercises, 1 inside, 1 outside. You have to drink a gallon of water, and you have to read 15 pages in a book. You do those 5 things for 75 days. And if you don't achieve one of those, you have to go back to day 1. And so it's a always forward mentality. And honestly, I didn't really appreciate, and I've thought about that thing for like 9 months prior before I took action. I was like, I really want to, but I always had a nice reason why not to. But once I started going, like even on day 10, one thing that really kind of pushed me to get to where I am today, we're now talking about it, is never going back. Like, once you start getting momentum and you have to keep doing these certain things to keep going, like, you just get more excited. And when you have, and I never added the never going back mentality to what I was talking about, because it's just like, I can tell you, I've probably been on all the diets you can probably think. I've done Nutrisystem. I've done a whole bunch of different diets, but in your head, you always have kind of a back door that you can always walk through. If it doesn't work out, you can go back to your old life, because this new life you're building isn't the one you've wanted, even though it is. And it's the one you salivate over every single day, but you somehow want to go back to that safety and security of who you lived with for years, looking in the mirror. And this, like adding 75 commitment and going all in with your program and these other things, like that back door, I blew it up. Like, it's gone. And there's only one way forward now, and I'm never going back. And that really just pushed me into a whole nother level of just momentum and progress that I've never had in my life before.
Yeah, totally, man. That's awesome. So there's some awesome stuff in that. I want to unpackage a couple of those things, because there's some deep stuff there. First of all, I want to hit on, you mentioned something there. You said a lot of people, this resonates with a lot of people, that they don't take action because they think that they need to know more and more stuff. They don't know enough, or they didn't find the perfect solution, I guess, so to speak. So let's dig deeper in that a little bit. What made you ultimately decide, it sounded like maybe you were going through that for a little while, and I need to know some more information. I need to know this. But what was the driving nail on the, hammer on the nail that really made you go forward then?
It actually goes back 2 years ago. So being in the Marine Corps, I hated running. I hated physical fitness. And we always had a love-hate relationship. Less love, more hate really was more what it was down to. And so when I got out of the Marine Corps, I kind of felt like, from a fitness point of view, I was a failure, because on the other side, I still didn't love the person looking back. On the outside, I didn't achieve the the poster board Marine body that most people get. I still had what I felt like I went in with. And so I just kind of had a fear of the gym after that. And because it was a failure, so my brain psychologically was avoiding it. So 2 years ago, one of my low points on this journey to where I am now, it was like 10:30 at night on a Saturday. And that day my pants had stopped fitting. And I was like, you know what? I am so freaking tired of my pants not fitting. And at that time, a friend posted a challenge he was doing for 8 weeks in a Facebook group that I'm a part of. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Yeah. And it taught me a very important lesson that oftentimes if you're like me and you need to know how, just suspend the need to know how and find a friend to hold your hand. Because what he did back then was he gave me a brick by brick yellow brick road on the way to Oz. Every day, awesome. I would just go to the gym and he would load in workouts automatically. He would have my goals. I would go in, I'd open my app, I would read it, I would do it, boom, I would be gone. And it was so anxious free. And that really taught me that. And I didn't really probably acknowledge it because it was almost 2 years ago, or you get a lot of things in the way. But when I came back to you, I was like, you know what? I already know Paul and he's already helping people along the way. And I've already proven that when I have a guide who can help me along the way. And I think that's what, out of everything that you do differently, you're always there. Like, you are right honest. You were always there to listen, jump in with feedback. Like, you never feel like you're alone. And I think within the community that we have in the program, you feel that like everybody's kind of in it together. We're all supporting each other and rooting for each other. But you be that guide into a room that's full of darkness, like, because it's scary. Because there's days even when we're on the program, like I get fear in my head and I'm like, I don't think I have enough recipes that are healthy this week. And you just create, and like, that's a stupid problem to have in 2020. Like that's something we even think about stressing, but that was a real thing. And I remember asking you, I was like, what are some words I can put in Pinterest to spit out some healthy recipes? Because I felt like I was dying. But there you were right there to help pull me back and anchor me down. And a lot of times when you go into a program that you're just kind of going through on your own, you can easily float off one day and get lost and never get back to that land of Oz that you're trying to get to. And I think that's the main thing is you are laying a brick by brick that's special for every different person. And for me, anchored with our friendship, like it felt like it was a perfect fit for me.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great, Brandon, man. Appreciate that. Yeah. That's so, good stuff there. You mentioned about, I think one big thing is being led, and that almost is like, accountability. Like throughout my life, I know you did too. I've had leaders and people that I've looked up to, and I just really like, if they said something, I implemented it. So let's talk about the value of, I guess, being having somebody there to support you, and how valuable that is to know like exactly what direction to go. Like you mentioned, step by step.
So for me, it's all about the journey, and everybody is on their own journey. Yeah. Like one thing I didn't mention was like a lot of what I'm on today started probably in 2015 when I read The Miracle Morning. And part of that was going on an exercise in the morning. And I started going for a walk in the neighborhood every morning. And that was the very first step towards like a daily physical habit. But it was a very small step. And it's been a long road of ups and downs and trials and tribulations. But for me, I always learn something about myself every time I do something. But when you have a guide through that, like a good example is riding a bike outside. So my youngest daughter just figured out how to ride her bike. My oldest learned at 5 years old. My second learned at 4. And my youngest just did it 2 months shy of her 4th birthday. And that's the power of coaching. Because when you have people ahead of you that have already walked the road, especially even in the program, the way that you build a community, there are people ahead, there are people behind, there's people like, watch out for that landmine at day 5 because it got me. Don't hit it. Like that's what the power of coaching is, and the community. And you're not alone. That's even the power of the military. Like, you're as a band of brothers, you're in it together. And there's something about that human connection, which we're realizing without now during COVID. Yes. You want to feel connected to people on the same journey. And when you can create that connection, like no person left behind, like it's powerful. And most fitness groups don't do it because either it's a one-on-one and maybe you don't get full access to them, or it's a group coaching where it's just kind of dumping into a Facebook group. but you're in the thick of things. Like the amount of stuff you put in, you'd think you were a single person just sitting in your barracks all day, just pumping out content. Like that's how connected I feel to what you do and how supportive you are. Like you're always there. You're right there in the morning. You never let the group go silent. And that feeling, it makes you feel like you can do it. Like you got this. Like that's something worth more gold than you can buy. That feeling like I believe in you. You got this. And just breathing that life into you. Because oftentimes life can beat you down, especially now these days. Like, and when you step into your life as you and just kind of like, because I'm sure you see it, you're like, you can see the genuine person beneath what they can't feel. And you get to pull that out. And like, that's the best part of leadership. When you see something that someone else doesn't, and you get to help lead that person through that journey to identify it. Like right now, people ask me how I'm doing. I say never been better, because every day I just feel alive. I enjoy putting shirts on. 2 weeks ago, I started taking my shirt off during workouts. I have never in my entire 35 years of my life forceful or willingly took my shirt off. I've done it forcefully, but never willingly. And there's still a lot of ugliness under there, but now it's almost like I'm okay with that ugliness and it's beauty at the same time because it's part of me. And it's okay. But like that was a massive, massive moment when I felt comfortable taking my shirt off. Like it felt surreal because I had never in my entire life experienced a moment where I felt comfortable with what was under my shirt.
Right. Awesome. Ben, I'm so pumped up, man, how well you're doing. Every once in a while, just for everybody watching, Ben will drop me a message. We're going about our days and we'll be like, hey, I'm down 10 pounds. I started with 5'10". Now we're up to 20. And I don't even know, that was like a week ago, right? I think you're at 20. So
if I go 20 more, which is my goal is to get to I need to go 30 more to 160. 160 is a weight. I don't even remember how old I would have been
60. 160
at that age. Like at the end of boot camp, I got to 176 and that was the lowest I've been in memory. So if I get to 160, like I get to step into a version of my life I've actually never met.
We're getting you back in the Marines, man. You get 160, brother. Now, well, it's been incredible seeing the journey Ben is going through. Like I said, he'll just pop these messages in and he's just dropping weight. And he sent me this picture for this interview. And I was just like, holy crap, man. I didn't like, this guy's totally changed.
I did an interview back in February for Dove Men's Care. And it was a YouTube video about some dad advice. And it posted today. And I'm like, who the F is that guy? I didn't even recognize myself. I was like, wow. I felt my transformation when I looked at that video. And when you're overweight, you do a lot of good different things to try to make yourself feel like you're not overweight. And I was on point. I had a fresh haircut. I had the right shirt. I felt like I did it. And I was like, compared to now, like, man, I was just completely lying to myself through that time frame. But now, like, as you get to step into the best part, like, there's one other thing that I want to like say that I've really learned in your program and through all the trials of the previous things that I've done is one, you have to prepare to be successful. That's the meal planning part. Like I love posting pictures. I've been loved barbecuing and prepping and learning these great ways to prepare food. And the second one is a lot of times I don't like to think we have a health crisis in America. We just have a flavor crisis in America, that we just suck at working a spice cabinet. Because if it doesn't come from the grocery store in a package with 15% sodium, we don't know how to make it. And when you step into learning how to work a spice cabinet and learn how to just prepare, you can make some really good meals. Like I did a jerk chicken this week. That was just like, I wanted to dance in the kitchen when I got it off the grill and I'm cutting it up. I'm like, I don't even want to put it in the freezer. I just want to eat it all right now. Yeah. But it comes back to, we have a flavor crisis. So like, if you think about like, I hate broccoli. Well, a lot of broccoli is just, you're not cooking it right. Like my favorite thing is to put mozzarella seasoning on it. Like, and then once you do that, it's like crack. I could eat it all day. But like, we don't think like that when we're on the outside of a diet. We think like, oh man, it's a diet. And that's other mind trick. People don't realize that diet has the word die in it and healthy has the word heal in it.
There you go. Very good. That's exactly right. Yeah.
And your program isn't about dieting. It's about just learning how to eat, not what you can eat, but when you eat and what you eat when you do eat it. And that's more about how you create that healthy momentum. It's not about this is a program and once after you can go back to burgers. this is how you can create a trajectory that these are patterns and life habits that will take you forever. Like every morning I have oatmeal almost like probably 75% of the day. And you help me get the right oatmeal recipe so that it tastes delicious.
Right. Yeah. No, great stuff, Ben. You talked about a lot there of how the program works, and let's dive in. I mean, first of all, let's talk. So we talked a little bit, you and I alone, about online coaching, and you've never done it before. So I guess, what were your expectations of it before jumping into this?
I would say expectations was I didn't really have any because I'm big on curiosity. And so I just kind of lead with that. Okay. And I also surrendered a lot to the process sometimes. Like if I don't know, recognizing what you don't know and just surrendering, that's important because sometimes people will come in and they think they know everything. And so then they start picking and choosing what they want to do. And that's not going to work either. So, and the best way to experience the full benefits of something is to surrender to it. Like even during COVID and parenting with your kids, instead of trying to figure out how you can control your kids all day, just surrender to the process and just love them and just be with the process. Yeah. And the process will take fold and your kids will help lead you and you'll help lead them. Same thing with your process, surrender to it, go through it. But I would say my expectations was that because of our friendship, I was like, I had kind of had the feeling like this is going to work because I've already had the experience 2 years ago of how having a friend help me through the gym and having that coach like that really was the game changer for me.
Okay, great. What are any kind of struggles through the program or anything that you kind of had a hard time with, and then how did you overcome that?
Is asking for help. That was something that I sucked at initially.
Asking for help.
Yeah, because you think you know what you got it all together, or you don't want to be a burden, but really you need to lean in. And I know that advice because I've been doing it for so long with other groups in different categories. But it's that ego is telling you that because the ego is betting on you getting back to who you were.
Yeah.
And your ego is going to tell you, like, you don't need his information. I think you can do it without it. And really, that's just a self-sabotage, shitty self-talk that's going to get you back to where you started. And you need to be in there and put in the reps every day with the program. Because the more it's this equivalent to when you put a rep in at the gym, like what was hard today or yesterday will be easy today because you put in the reps. And that's something very critical to the process, surrendering it, going through that and recognizing that ego is there, like acknowledging it's there. Don't just lie to yourself that it's not there. Like listen to it and say like, get the heck out of my head. I'm going to do what I want to do. And for me, that 75 hard added that extra layer of accountability that I needed everything that you were giving me because otherwise I couldn't be successful.
Right. Awesome.
Very cool. I'm never going back to day one. So like, I was like, I need all I can get.
Yeah. And you are just crushing things right now. Man.
Interesting enough, day 75 is June 6th. And so June 7th is D-Day. And I can't help but feel that this kind of whole lead up is kind of like when I went on the offense with my life instead of the defense. And I think a lot of people who struggle with health don't acknowledge it, but if hearing this, they'll realize they've probably been playing defense their entire life. And this program with you really helped me get to the other side where I'm going to go on the offense. I'm going to take control of my life. I'm going to take control of my food, my health, and create my own future versus reacting to what the future brings me.
Exactly, man. It's an awesome point. So I totally agree. So many people I think are in the defensive mode and almost let it happen to them and almost fall victim, so to speak. But I mean, it's so crucial, right? Just to take action and we're all in control of ourselves. I mean,
take action despite the feeling. That's important. Even when you don't feel like I've taken so part of the program is to go outside and walk every day or take an exercise that day.
Yeah.
And part of it is you have to do it when it's raining because you're required. If you do it, you can't go back. And it's a very important lesson I've done it like 5 times. You going for a walk in the rain teaches you that success doesn't have perfect circumstances, but you still need to take action.
That is right.
So you need to keep going even when the circumstances for success don't look right. Success happens when you take action despite those circumstances. Like it's raining, like you go out in a downpour, and that teaches you, well, if you were to plan better, you could have did it in the morning, or you just got to get out there and do it. Maybe it was raining all day, and it almost screwed me the other day where it was just raining all day, but luckily it broke later in the day and I didn't have to. But that's a lot of part of life is just taking action when you don't feel like. Even dieting, you have to keep going. You have to keep going through the process because you're getting to a place that you probably may have never been. But when you go on the journey and relate it to, like I describe it as a journey of matching the outside and the inside. So if you're a great person, you're a loving person, people love being around you, but you still have that negative self-image in the mirror, your journey with Paul is to go on that journey to identify how can you get the outside to match the inside. Because when you feel unconditional love for yourself on the outside and the inside, you're unstoppable because you don't need other people to fuel you forward. You create your own future when you can love yourself enough to do everything you need to do in your life.
Awesome, man. Spot on, Ben. 100%. I would say you're there now. I think you're there, man.
I feel it when I look in the mirror. Like even in this, every time I get on a Zoom call, it sounds weird, but I look back and like, that's a badass. And I've never felt that way. I always saw a weak person that wasn't capable of taking control of his life, that was always reactionary. But now I feel strength. And I used to tell myself, I don't want muscles or anything at the gym. I don't want a six pack. Like that's not me. That was just my ego sabotaging me again, because what I didn't realize, when you look strengthful, you feel strengthful. And if you're a person that has kind of a weak self-image like I did, looking like you have strength helps empower you to have strength as well. Like it's two things that I just sabotage myself, that like, oh, you don't need that. But that was a huge ingredient, because when I look strong in the mirror, I feel like I can go forward because that guy's got it. And before it was that guy's a weak guy, so he's going to stay back here and wait for something to happen.
Very, very awesome stuff. And we really, we could unpackage this for hours.
I know. But, I mean, when you said 20 minutes, I was like, I don't think he's fully ready for everything that I'm going to drop.
Yeah, no, we could be on here there's no doubt we could be on here unpackaging this stuff for a couple hours. But one thing I want to make a point is Ben alluded to earlier, is that this isn't only a journey of let's drop 10, 15, 20 pounds, get lean, drop some body fat like Ben has done, but look at what it's done for him psychologically, mentally, self-confidence, self-esteem, and the way he carries himself. I mean, I can see now, I mean, you're a different person. And that's what it's all about.
I feel alive. I feel more alive than I have in my entire 35 years.
That's awesome, man. And I'm so pumped for you. So that's what this is all about. It's just not like most people come to me and they say, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to feel better. There's so much more to it. And once you start getting there and you start getting those results and you start unpacking, like, okay, now I feel a little bit more confident and I could, put the bathing suit on or whatever, or you have a spouse that you want to be more attracted to, or whatever it is, or making your presentations at the office and now you feel more confident in front of people because something was holding you back. All those little things, we could go on and on about examples, but this is what it's all about, this whole transformation process of
and something else that people mess up, and I'm sure you see it, is in the early diets, I didn't always do it for myself. I did it to meet someone else's expectation, or to combine it with the love. I would do it in a way that maybe this is how I get their love.
Oh yeah, or
this is how you get people to like you. If you don't get results in the way that your mind has set up that circumstance to achieve, and I can tell you I didn't, you self-sabotage and you quit. And so when I went on this journey, it was about myself. I was doing it 100% for that love unconditionally of myself. And that's a noble goal that most people don't acknowledge, that love is at the center of their onion that they're peeling back. When you go on your own journey to match yourself and only for yourself, everybody else becomes benefit of what you're doing. You got to stay anchored to yourself. And I just had this Killoyism, which is kind of like weird things that I say and put together. People talk about being a captain on a rough sea, and that like a good captain, a skilled captain, is created on a rough sea, not a calm sea. I realized something, that when you go on a transformation like this, you're not the captain, you're not the boat. It's not even any of the metaphors of the boat. You are the tide. Because when you go on a journey for yourself, you become the tide and you raise the ships around you. And awesome, people don't frame it that way. And I'd never framed it that way, just till like 3 days ago when I had this. I was like, be the tide in what you're trying to achieve in your life, and everybody else will rise with you. Don't try to do it for them. Don't try to get them to go with you. Because your transformation on the inside will raise the tide, and everybody around you will come up with you.
So true, man. That's so well put. And I love that. I love that, man. That's a great way to put it. It's a journey of just development. And like you said, as you develop yourself physically, the mental, I mean, physical and mental, I'm huge on mindset. So I believe that it's all, the mind gets stronger as the body gets stronger and vice versa. And just like you said, we do things when we're not, even when we're uncomfortable. And that's the key. It doesn't have to be perfect conditions, but taking action every day, taking steps is what it's all about. But awesome, Ben. This has been awesome. Like I said, we could go on for hours. I know, you have a family that I want to get you back to. But one last thing, what would you give any advice to anybody watching right now out there?
I think the final journey, and you alluded it when you said I was a heart-centered person, that I wear my heart on my sleeve. And so there's something that I believe that your transformation and every health transformation goes through. It's a journey of 13 inches from your head to your heart. And when you get into your heart, you can then move your own mountains. But if you stay in your head, no amount of thinking is going to get you out of this. You need to feel it in your heart. You need to feel like you're worthy of what Paul's trying to help you lead to. And when you enter your heart, there's a phrase that I say often that I learned a couple months ago. I am in my heart and I live in my heart. Because when I feel in my heart, I feel powerful and strengthful. If I feel in my head, I feel weak, I feel scared, and I feel like I can't do anything. Because your mind is designed to keep you safe from lions and tigers and bears. And now we have an invisible virus that your brain's trying to understand how to protect you from. It's not going to give you the best results or answers to the questions you ask it. Stay in your heart, lead with your heart, and your heart will lead you where you want to go. And this journey for myself to love on the outside and the inside, like that's a heart-centered journey to fully fulfill my feeling in my heart.
Wow. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Heart-centered journey. This guy is deep. Ben Killoy, man. It has been a true pleasure. I'd love to do this again sometime, but man, thank you so much.
I'll come back on when I reach 160.
Sounds awesome. And there's no doubt you'll get there, man. You are crushing life, and just
I've been taking pictures every day, and I'm excited to put it all together as a video, because I have gone back a couple times and I'm like, wow, because it's something that like you don't realize until you start taking pictures of yourself every day.
Yeah.
Because every day you don't feel like you're making progress, but when you look back, like that in itself, that one little step can help cement that self-image that, like, you know what, I am starting to love the self on the outside, and I am a different person that's growing on the outside in a good way. And that is, I'm excited to share that to the world at the end of all this.
Right. Exactly. And you made a great point. You're developing in a good way. This is a good, healthy way that you're conditioning yourself. And it's something
and the scale won't give you the measurement in your heart that you need.
Yeah, exactly.
You need the trick to see it in the mirror. You need to physically see it with your eyes, because your eyes are the lens of your world. And if you see what you see, then you know you can feel what you feel.
Yeah, well put. And then this is a permanent thing for you too, and something sustainable too. You're gonna develop. You're gonna get that 160. You're gonna be able to keep it the rest of your life. So there's no doubt.
Yeah,
Ben, it's been awesome, brother. Thanks so much, ladies and gentlemen. This has been so fun. I hope you got a lot out of it, and thanks for watching. Ben, we'll talk soon. You take care.
Anybody have any questions? I'm available. I'm pretty easy to talk to. I have probably 15 conversations with random people every week. And my random networking advice for you is the amount of opportunity you have in your life is directly proportional to the amount of people you talk to daily. So if you don't feel like you have enough opportunity in your life, you just need to talk to more people.
There you go. Well put, man. Well said. Another great piece of advice. Ladies and gentlemen, reach out to Ben if you have any questions too. And again, thanks for watching. Ben, we'll talk soon, brother.
Thank you.
Keep crushing life.
Thanks.
All right. Take care.